Hello and welcome back to Deck Pilot. Today we are going to be taking Budget Yellow Rush for a spin on the ladder. I covered this deck in my last Deck Doctor video, so check that out if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll see how I do, and I'll be talking about my plays, some decisions, and of course I'll be talking about defending as well. So even if you're not a Yellow Rush player or you dislike this deck, I think this video will give you an idea on how to set up some defensive lands to stop Yellow Rush in its tracks. So I hope you enjoy it, guys. So let's get into the matches. Playing against the Bronde, very experienced player. And already we have a really good opening hand. So we have June Drake, which I talked about in the Deck Doctor, on how you place that guy. You can go double neutral into the desert. We'll keep a Choking Sand to deal with any defensive cards. And we have more hard removal. So two pieces of hard removal and a very good opening creature. And no surprise to me that LeBronde is playing Forests here. So now I need to figure out, what's he going to do? Is he going to play Crackthorn? Or is he going to play the Green-Yellow Rush? So if he's playing Crackthorn, it's a little bit better for me to double neutral into Desert into June Drake because he puts me in range straight away, but because he could potentially be playing Green-Yellow Rush, we could go for this. Because now if he wants to develop a forest down, because Green-Yellow Rush, what Green-Yellow Rush does, it just builds coloured lands all the way down, so forests and deserts, using Earthcraft and stuff like that. And eventually he'll get some deserts in this aggressive range, and then it'll hit you. It'll Doomsday with some Oaklands and Court Jesters on board, buff its haste creatures, and finish you off. So yeah, it's looking... oh no, it's a lake. Okay, so not even the right read there. I always find that this opening here is always very curious to me, especially when going first. So we can remove this. If we move up, he can Elderwood and clear, so we're going to have to take a desert here. And then we'll Choking Sands. So what do we want June Drake to do? Like, we can move one, which forces him to build a land to play a taunt down to taunt us up. We could go to the left, which forces him to play a creature here, or we can move on to this land and create a desert. If we move to the right, there is no land here, so he doesn't do much. But we do have a prayer in hand, so probably want to go face next turn. So let's move here. Because now if he wants to taunt us, he needs to build the land in front. Law Thief, that's good. Okay. So we might have to kill this. Yeah, we're probably going to have to kill this turn just to play around Aurora. But we do have a demon, so that's pretty nice. We'll take the desert here because we want to force him to build land here next turn. Yeah, so we killed the Law Thief, play around Aurora the Mythmaker, turn the Law Thief into a 6/6, and then it can kill two of these guys. We don't want that. Dealing damage is only important once you've started winning. Oh, he's gonna do the Wood Elemental here. Now the reason he's gone for the Wood Elemental there is because Faeria is far more important to him at this point than the damage I'm gonna deal. So I have no mobility in this deck, so I can't say move June Drake, move Flashwind. So I'll probably just move June Drake here. And let's hit. Let's see what this gives us with the prayer. Soul Drain. Oh, I could have cleared this actually. So I could have banked on a Soul Drain, and I could have moved here. I could have hit with the demon first. The position is so weird though, because I wanted to move the demon here, so next turn the demon can kill the Wood Elemental. But I'm going to take this desert now. I was talking about this in the video. This is a really good desert to have. I'll just deal the 5 there, and I will pass. So I had a good opportunity to clear this. Had I known I was going to draw a Soul Drain, I had no idea. So I kind of assumed that I wouldn't draw it. And there we have it. So a very aggressive start, very hard for whatever deck LeBronde was playing to deal with, and that's what can happen with this deck sometimes. You just have a really dominating opening, and your opponent doesn't feel like they can come back. But just keep in mind that you want to clear creatures on board first before going for the orb. So if I had the Soul Drain in hand already without drawing off the Kaleem's Prayer, I would have just moved June Drake in and I would have cleared this first. I would have hit with the demon, and then I would have played the follower here and moved in, collected, and then hit orb. So board control, very important with this deck. So the next game is going to be against King Dan's, one of the most, well, one of the best players in the game, but one of the most successful players in the game. As far as results go, you know, he's done very well in tournaments. He's always qualified for the Monthly Cup, even when he hasn't been able to play in it. And also had a strong influence on the meta game thanks to his tournament deck building. So we'll take the double neutrals up. And depending on what he does, I'm not sure what Dan's is playing at the moment. I haven't really seen Dan's much on ladder, or I haven't encountered him myself. But yeah, we'll just keep pushing these neutrals down. We have the Templar, which is a great card. I can dash onto one of his lands next turn and cause some mischief. So he's going to play a creature here. And it's going to be a Bloodsinger. Okay. And a Brute. It's a bit awkward. There's not a lot I can do about this guy. And not a lot I can do about this guy either, actually. And Bloodsinger, you know, is going to be a problem. Dance is going to be able to kill me without actually having to hit my orb. It's going to be an issue. So I'm thinking about taking a desert here to force him to build here, then take this desert. Or I take this desert now, and then he just double neutrals across and locks this desert. It depends what's more important to me. I guess this is a weaker creature, so probably this side. If I go Templar here and he doesn't have removal, it means he'll have to move his Brute across and he builds this land for me, which is something I can't really complain about. So let's just do this now. Let's just force him to have an answer. And this represents 6 damage. It's not just like a June Drake which you can ignore for a turn. So he's completely blocking me from gaining this well spot. But I'm not too concerned at the moment because I do have this. And look at this, a lot of defenses coming down for Dan's right now. Gonna need like a Choking Sand. Choking Sand would be nice, but I need my desert. I'm probably going to turn this into a desert eventually anyway, so let's take this. Let's June Drake. So he can move and he can hit. If he has Gift of Steel, I'm probably in a lot of trouble. I'm trying to ignore this Grimguard because it's a bit of a pain. I want to be able to Choking Sand this, to be honest. And this is a good way to learn. Look how Dan's has set up his defensive. That barracks is incredible. And now he has a central. So these two are blocking my creatures from going in, which is a big deal. He has the Taunter, which can shimmy in and out of this well. So once he's harvested, he can move back and defend, and then he can move back to harvest. And he also has this 4/1 that's chipping away at me very, very slowly. I'm going to take a draw this turn. Let's see if we find it. This hand's not that good. This hand's pretty bad. So I'm trying to force... I either want this trade to happen, or I want to move this Brute out of position so I can get in. I really want a Wind Soldier. Like, Wind Soldier would be great, and then I can start doing stuff. Cypher's Wrath. It's fair. And as you can see now, Dan's has stabilized. He's taken no damage to his orb. He's got a full blockers here. Everything's defending for him. So he's in a fantastic position. And now he's pushing his aggressive lands down to put a creature down here, be it another brute, be it Grimguard, to start just chipping away at me and forcing me to use resources to stop him from killing me. And that's what you need to do when you're defending against Rush. This is a perfect example of how to do it. So I'm going to go for a removal turn, I think. Just take my desert, take my nightmare, take my wind soldier. And this little move here does two things with the Bloodsinger. One, it covers the desert, which is really good. Two, it stops this desert being active in a way, because I could have wind soldiered from here, collected a Faeria, moved and killed. And he just had a ground shaker. And this is over. You know, just some really clean defense has allowed him to win this game pretty convincingly, to be honest. Red is going to be a tough matchup for you guys. I'll just say that right now. Especially like mid-red or red control or just kind of red burn. They can remove your creatures quite easily. Demon does damage to you, so the red cards like Flame Burst get a little bit more reach. They can kill you up a little bit faster. So there's a lot of problems with fighting against red. And that barracks was pretty awesome. So it hits me. So I'm dead next turn. That's the thing. And look at this. Every time he finishes collecting, he repositions himself as a defender. So we'll just nightmare this and hope at this point. But he can just play another guy. He could just play a brute. He could play another ground shaker. There's plenty of things. He could just flame burst me from hand now. Ground shaker, collect +1 flame burst as lethal. And there you have it. So I think this is a good video. Like, I didn't win, but you got to see how a very high-class player like Dan, you know, a very top-tier player, defends against these kind of decks. And maybe Dan has made this deck to counter Yellow Rush, because I know that players were saying that as soon as my Deck Doctor game came out, Yellow Rush started to be featured more on ladder, which is just no surprise. It's a cheap deck, it's strong. But yeah, this could be an idea for you guys if you're watching this as someone who doesn't like Yellow Rush but looking for ways to defend against it. Great example right there. Alright, the last match for Deck Pilot. We're going against Mayhem, Monthly Cup champion. He did very well in the last Monthly Cup with his red-yellow combat burn. And Yellow Rush, actually, I believe. He played a Lord of Wastes Yellow Rush, which was quite new at the time. We'd never seen anything like that. So this is going to be a tough game again. You know, I've gone against some really strong opponents. LeBronde, again, another top player. Dan's one of the best, and Mayhem can be considered one of the best now as well with his Monthly Cup performance recently. So now the ladder is giving me some good opponents, which I like. You know, I get to use this deck against you know, players who know what they're doing. So you know, you get an idea of how to play this deck to its best ability, right? Instead of kind of just face rolling people with Rush, you know, these guys know how to defend against Rush. We're going to see neutrals coming out and a wood elemental. So going for the diamond. So this is an old school defensive strategy that has been used, which is interesting. So I'm gonna change things up here. I'm gonna try something. So I could go for Central Desert. He just built a land here, and then I'm stuck. I'm not getting anything in this point. But what I could do is I could put a land here, play the June Drake, and then if he wants to collect Faeria, he leaves an opening in this spot. He might just play another creature. That's another thing to consider as well. Although I could just play the desert here, so he has to move here, or he has to play a creature there. I don't think this is as effective, this defensive position, this defensive play here, as the ones I've discussed in my Defend Against Rush guide, which you go to your wells, the ones like Dan did. But this is a good strategy against green-yellow rush. So this may be why we have see a resurgence in the diamond. I could actually just desert here and then play June Drake. So if he does go for the diamond, I can move on to that land and take an aggressive death. So let's try it. Let's see how it does. I'm out of reach of this wood elemental now as well, so I quite like that. He could just Elderwood, clear the June Drake, and then I'm pretty stuck. So just altering our game plan a little bit to adapt to what our opponent's doing. And sometimes you have to do that in Faeria. You know, I teach you what I can in my deck doctors, you know, the basics, but when you really get into a deck, you start to see all these other little lines. Oh, there's the Elderwood Embrace, so I would have been punished really hard had I not done this. So now I'll just do this. He could teleport, actually. Teleport would be pretty sad. He could play a a Grove Caller here, teleport there, move, and kill. And then he has a defender there, which I don't really want him to have. So I'm just going to move by here. I'm still in range to make an orb hit next turn. It just means he can't move on to this spot with a Grove Caller with the teleportation. He might go double neutral now. Forest. Into a Kodama. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. So now what I want... so he... Basically, if I go for the orb hit now, he'll just heal with this card. I can't harvest Faeria, but whenever it attacks a god, gain 5 life. I don't have enough... See, I don't have enough resources to kill this. I need like a Soul Drain or a Wind Soldier or something like that. So, what do I want to do? If I just move in and hit, he kills with the Wood Elemental, he just gains 5 health. So I'm going to want a Nightmare next turn. So maybe I still make the Orb hit. And then force him to come in here and kill my June Drake. And have a Demon by there to finish it off. And then I Nightmare this next turn. It's just the Orb hit just does nothing. That's the only problem I have here. Alright, we'll still go for the Demon. I'm not going to bother with the Orb hit. I think I'm just going to shimmy back here. Out of the way. Could play a Deathwish Ghoul here, actually, in case I pick up a Soul Drain. Then I don't have to use my Nightmare, which is pretty good. So actually, the Deathwish Ghoul is probably quite bad now that I think about it. Because I'm limiting my Faeria. That was a misplay. That was definitely a misplay. Because now I'm banking on Wind Soldier or Soul Drain. So I've just basically decided now that, you know, I need those cards, because if I don't have them, I'm not going to have enough resources to do it. Because he clears this now. I'm on 5 Faeria. I need to make a desert, and I need to gain 1 Faeria. So I actually ruined my own plan there. So a bit of a misplay, unfortunately. And this is Soul Drain, so I had what I needed to finish off the Kodama, but it was too risky. I shouldn't have went for it. I can kill this next turn, I guess, and just set up some guys. We'll move this. Yeah, we'll just chill here with the Templar. I'll Nightmare this next turn. He could just move and play Verduran Force, and then I'm in a bit of trouble. Oh, going for a defensive play there instead. So this is a 2-turn clock. So I'm probably just going to have to rebuild. Just Nightmare this, clear this guy, and then play like a Ghoul. +1 into Ghoul. Just hoping he doesn't have another play. Like, +1 Grove Guardian's really bad here for me. Alright, so no +1, so maybe he doesn't have a play. That's good. Alright, now we have time. Now we want, like, a follower or a monk. We didn't get either. That's really sad. Because now if I make this orb hit, I'm not going to be able to play any haste creatures I pick up. Demon's not bad. It's not great, though. I have Soul Drain to sustain me. So I do 3 damage next. Let's assume I do 3 damage next turn. If he plays a Grove Guardian here to defend, Soul Drain's not enough to kill it. So I probably do play Demon, to be honest. Because Soul Drain does give me a bit of sustain. If he plays Verdurine Force down there, he's 1 buff away from killing me. But I could just Soul Drain the Verdurine Force preemptively to try and keep me alive. That's a battle plan. I do need to start dealing some damage. I'm bleeding quite a lot. I'm at half my health. But I've switched to the aggressor after removing both of his creatures. Speak of the devil, there he is. So yeah, 1 buff and I'm dead. So I can take a draw, that's fine. Because I'm planning to Soul Drain this anyway. Alright, let's just deal the damage. Go for the Soul Drain. Just keep us alive from double buff. Actually, double buff still kills us. Keeps us alive from 1 buff. But he doesn't have any Faeria. So I have Lethal next turn. Might be a good idea to set up a Dune Drake somewhere. I don't know. I could set up a Dune Drake here. Can challenge the Verdurine Force with the Wind Soldier. But I have to make land. I'm going for Lethal next turn, so I don't know if Dune Drake's necessary. I mean, what can he do? 5 Faeria can make a taunt. But I have Wind Soldier, 5... 6, 7, it's not lethal. So actually Grove Guardian here is a problem. Grove Guardian here is more of a problem as well. I don't set up that lethal. I need to find that other avenue. Alright, let's play aggressive Dune Drake then, just to make sure we can get a bit more damage in. Oh, he has the buff, so I'm dead to the buff. That's how risky the demon was. Like, the Soul Drain actually didn't make any difference. So yeah, a little unfortunate there. Could have played that a bit better. It's not the deck, guys. It's me. It's me. So let's recap. What could I have done there? So I could have played the Dune Drake instead. That's -2 damage. I got 1 orb hit off with the demon. So he would have been on 11. I would have 6 damage on board. I would still have the Soul Drain. I could Wind Soldier, face Soul Drain, the Wind Soldier, play Monk for lethal. So probably a better lethal setup there with the Dune Drake, instead of the demon. So these are little things you're gonna have to consider when you're playing with this deck. So keep that in mind. So that wraps up this episode of Deck Pilot. Hope you enjoyed it. I got to play some really strong opponents, King Dan's, Mayhem, and I got to play some bad matchups as well. So if you're looking to defeat Yellow Rush, I think this video gives you some good ideas on how to develop defensive lands and also how to keep Yellow Rush out of the game. This deck is by no way unbeatable. It can struggle if your opponent gets a good start and is able to stabilize in the early game. I think the match against Dan's was a perfect example of that. But yeah, there's still a very strong deck, especially at the low end of the ladder where some players may not know how to defend. And of course, this is a budget variation, so there are other versions of Yellow Rush that exist. The Mino Caro version, which uses Doomsday and Radiance, for example. And then you have the Team Equilibrium expansion of that, which was made by Lou90 and used by Modnik in the monthly cup. And you can find all those decks over at the hub. So if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, give it a like, tell your friends about it, and of course, leave a comment if you have any thoughts about this deck or the matches that I played. Thanks again, guys. Until we meet again, take care. Have a great day.